Fallout is a series that has a relationship with America that I can't deny, and this video is not doing that. Fallout and art as a medium is interested in our relationship to America and very specific times in America. The Cold War, the time after World War II, but before the present, before the 90s, at the fall of the Soviet Union, when the isolationist values and strategies of pre-World War II America was thrown out the window, and America got heavily involved in every country in the world. Though the lore of Fallout isn't as interested in the Soviet Union as it is in China, and the numerous resource wars that take place between the United States and China. China invaded Alaska. America annexed Canada. The games of Fallout take place in several deserts, and New Vegas is in the Mojave, and DLCs are in, I think, Death Valley? Yosemite? Anyway, DC Capital Wasteland in West Virginia? What do they call it? Something. And in the Commonwealth. If you haven't heard of Fallout before, you just heard like a bunch of words that sounded kind of familiar, but what really ties all of these themes and disparate elements together is the tone of Fallout, which was struck very well in the first promo of the original Fallout 1. It taps directly into 50s, 60s nostalgia and Americana. You hear that song, that familiar setting of the radio or the television in the corner of the luxury apartment. But then, I just want to start a flame in your heart. This familiarity is directly contrasted when the camera pulls out. In my heart I have but one desire. And we see the folly, the danger, the great destruction that befell everything. And that is Fallout. It is an alternate history where the Cold War went on for 100 years, and in the year 2077, I hate years, so the escalating conflict between capitalism and communist powers hit to a head when a capitalist company, Politic, launched a nuke and starts off a series of the unwinnable calamity, which is nuclear war and nuclear winter. And mankind survives because, of course, and along with mankind, so does the tendencies of the past. People live in vaults, and they come out of the vaults to expect an empty world ready to be reshaped and repopulated by American and vault tech values. But instead what they find is the world didn't die. The world lived on. People survived, and they created completely different communities. The ideas of the old world lived on, but also try to assert themselves and shape and continue the fight and the war and struggle over the resources of the complete wasteland that is Earth. But of course, ideology is a hell of a drug, and everyone that comes to Fallout brings their ideology with them. What is so impossibly frustrating about art is that everyone can and does interpret it, no matter how blatant. People still looked at RoboCop and wanted RoboCop 2 and 3 because RoboCop was cool. And Paul Verhoeven learned his lesson in that, and in Starship Troopers, in order to drive it home, which arguably still didn't work for a lot of people, sent out Doogie Howser in an SS uniform to let you know that they are the bad guys. Art is so hard, but because of ideologies and fandom and people trying to divorce works of art from politics they don't like in order to assume and project their own politics onto it, their own politics being rah capitalism is great, despite the fact that capitalism destroyed the world. One of these assumptions, because of the Americana, which Americana is actually a jargon word for the symbolism of America. So that's flags, that's soldiers, that's jets, that's white picket fences. All that Norman Rockwell stuff is all Americana. It's a certain batch of symbolism. So because of the symbols, the themes of Americana in Fallout, several fans project that Fallout has to take place in America. Cool. But everyone should be with me right now, right? Alright? Support me on Patreon and tell me I can write videos good. So the first, biggest, and most technical point that I demand a win on early is Fallout doesn't take place in America. Fallout takes place in the ruins of America, which, now we're getting to our ideas of what makes a country. And in several people's ideas, America is the borders, as in the United States of America, I should clarify, because America is also the continent, but the continent that includes Canada and Mexico, right? That's North America. Then there's the Americas of the South America, which will get to South America. When you go long enough in the past, Germany was several warring different kingdoms, territories, and eventually nothing, where just like nomadic people lived in tiny villages. Like on a long enough timeline, countries don't exist. There's a starting point to most countries. France arguably didn't exist until Napoleon united it together as one, until like French Revolution propaganda and thought started exercising, the people in the countryside of France that get food to Paris are part of it all together, and we are all French. In the same way, the United States used to be 13 colonies, and those 13 colonies built out. And it's through like survivors imagery and the educational and material leftovers of America that the towns and people of Fallout build their lives and circle their thoughts around, that create overall tone and the characters that we see, because the first two games did such a good job of imagining this world and characterizing everything and codifying it in this Americana, in disaster, in this crumbling Art Deco, Gothic architecture. Even if the writing in Fallout 3 and 4 were bad, they still were able to nail those very good, well-done themes because they're so solid. But those places are not America. The Mojave Desert was the Mojave Desert, well, probably? I don't know its old name. I don't know who first called it the Mojave Desert. But it was a desert before Nevada became a state, before we rolled out west. And it will be a desert, most likely, long after the United States crumbles. And once the United States crumbles, there's no longer United States. It's the territory that formerly used to be the United States, but it is not the United States. Location does not make a Fallout game. Even though it's neat for some Americans to like walk around DC. I loved walking around Washington, D.C., especially around the time of inaugurations. You can see the Capitol building, you can see the Lincoln Monument, you can walk down and see the giant pool that used to be pure shit that probably killed more presidents than anything else. You can even walk up to the White House. Of course, it's a fenced-off crater that's highly irradiated, which is disappointing at first, but then you're like, yeah, I get it. People would nuke the shit out of the White House, at least. If you have so many bombs, why not? I can see how a lot of people would assume and think that you have to be in America to experience Americana. But Americana is not limited to America. Capitalism is not limited to America. The effects that created Fallout in the Fallout world is in the whole world. It takes off of the American imperialism of post-World War II America, where we went everywhere and influenced everything. The backstabbing bastards at the CIA did everything they could to fuck around with the entire world. Like, without even saying if it's a good or bad thing, though fuck around with the world does seem like a bad thing, it's for American interest, like, overturning democracies in order to establish right-wing dictators in locations like Afghanistan. The Jakarta method, where citizens that were left-leaning, communist, or socialists were slowly kidnapped and murdered all over the country so that hundreds of people were just dead and literally changed the political landscape. And then that's been used around the world and referred to as the Jakarta method. Like, these are real-world things that happened. And Fallout is worse. Not only did we go into countries and set up dictators, but then we injected our private industry. That's what empire is. Though early empires, like the Roman Empire, for which like a lot of our architecture is like modeled after, which is gross and dumb the more you think about it. Early empires would have direct control. They would set up governments. Probably the most famous one would be Pontius Pilate in charge of Israel, who would then govern the province for Rome. As you'll recall, we do not have that in America. We don't have a Pontius Pilate that we send to Bolivia and tell him to control things. Instead, what we have is industry. Because in capitalism, the government does not control the economy. The free market does. And what the free market really is whoever has the most money, the most capital, controls how the economy is shaped, where houses are built, where businesses go, where there are jobs, where to fire people, where to pull out completely and leave shells of ghost towns. Industry is controlled by a few billionaires. The imperialism of capitalism is inflicting the free market and taking control away from local people and giving it to Ford, to oil companies that decide how things are upgraded. And they bring in Americana, because Americana sells. There's like this idea that you work 60 hours a week, you go home, let your wife blow you, have 2 kids, and that is what you want for the rest of your life until you retire and move to Florida. And if your wife doesn't blow you, you beat her, of course. The imagery, the capitalism, the Americana of Fallout does not only exist in America. It exists around the world. We associate how well we think a country does by how much it looks like capitalist America, privately planned by rich individuals America. Are there neighborhoods where there are 60 houses that all look the same but a variation of color and stoop pattern? That's America. That's good. They are civilized now. But that exists everywhere. So the propaganda, attitudes, and Americana that are staples of Fallout and the tone of Fallout exist everywhere. And in a global nuclear winter, the effects will be felt everywhere. There will be fallout all over the world. It does not need to be in this one America. The America of Fallout is one that does direct imperial shit, where they could take over a country and not just set up a puppet dictator that will do what they want. There could be more Americas all over the world. A Fallout taking place in Canada will be taking place in the ruins of the former United States because we annexed Canada. America... Well, there that goes. So I think of Fallout 3... And the tragedy of Fallout is that there's so much death, so much lack of people, to now where like they fight over the garbage of the old world in order to survive and find themselves existing as the old world and taking ideologies and power structures from the old world and dragging it to the future. NCR are very much so America, the New California Republic. The New California Republic is a democracy with a president, but they have the same problems of control, of expansion, of people just being ill-informed, and of just letting their force of will and murder just take whatever they want instead of being considerate of what people need. The Brotherhood of Steel just want to hoard technology until they die. The Master in Fallout 1 was looking to the future. He saw the divisions, the racism, the different countries of the past, of the weaknesses of people in order to feed themselves, and he created super mutants, large, hulking, green people that all look the same, man or woman. No matter what their race is, they're giant and green. And his plan was to erase the needs of humans by making everyone strong and healthy and regeneratable and just these big beasts. But the downside to his plan is that they couldn't have children. And that's actually how you win in Fallout. You tell him that none of his super mutants are having babies. And I kind of feel like that's the one thing looking to the future. Like, that's the one part of Fallout. I mean, probably not the one, but that's a huge part of Fallout where he looked at the past and he looked at the divisions of the past and said, oh, this division caused this and I will destroy it with this new technology of super mutants I've created. I will concede that Fallout as a series shouldn't be about communism, because the people who were in communism and lived through those states made similar games to Fallout. And they're not Fallout, and they're unique in their own way. Metro, Exodus, Stalker, in like the Shadow of Chernobyl, there are different ideas in how they relate to the Soviet Union and how they relate to nuclear disaster than how we relate to it in America. And in capitalism, probably more specifically I should say, to be cohesive with my thesis statement, capitalism has a different relationship to nuclear Armageddon than the Soviets did, than communists did. Fallout game that took place in Russia or that took place in Hong Kong wouldn't quite be a Fallout game, and I wouldn't want it there. I would want the people of Hong Kong to make their own game. I would want to play that and be interested in that kind of RPG as much as I'm interested in Stalker and in Metro. They're neat, and their approach to it is something that someone could do a video on that isn't me, because those games are hard. And Fallout 4 gave me power armor in like the first hour. So Fallout doesn't have to take place in the United States of America, but it does have to take place within capitalism in the world that touches upon Americana and the failures of capitalism, which, again, destroyed the world, and not to get too political, but is currently destroying the world and making a very controllable virus worse by just letting people die so that markets can... Like, I've been replaying Fallout 4. Specifically, I started out with a bunch of mods because I don't want to play Fallout 4 again, because I played the crap out of it when it came out on the PlayStation 4. The camps in Fallout 4 like respawn every 3 days, so you can go through and destroy the same bandit camps. And I played that game so much that I couldn't find anyone to kill. I played Fallout 4 so much that it turned into a walking simulator. Every time I can double tap a super mutant to kill it, I'm like, okay, this game needs to be harder. And I was up against the top, and I was still killing super mutants super fast. And I'm like, no, make it... So I start my survival playthrough of Fallout 4 to make it different. The other thing with Fallout, like, the relationships are so boring. They're not great. Like, I romanced Piper for an XP boost. Like, I would love to have actual romance. Like, romances in games are fun. Dating is fun, and like running around shooting up people can be fun if you do that as a couple. The peak of the writing, the peak of our relationship. Oh, let's just insert clips of me trying to talk to Piper, my love interest, who loves me, at the peak of our relationship.
And that's all thanks to you. Is everything all right between us, Piper? I'm with the person I love, helping those in need. I couldn't imagine a better life.
I just wanted to check in, make sure things were all right between us.
Honestly, I feel a bit guilty. Why should I get so lucky when so many folks have it so hard? But other than that, I'm great.
All life on Earth depends on the sun. If it goes out, everyone will follow. The only way to keep the sun burning is to fall in love. But that is a lot of pressure. Try to have fun. The world depends on you. Don't think about it. Girls will like you better if you relax. But seriously, if you fail, we're all going to die.
Why don't you do it then?
I can explain more later. All you have to do is fall in love. It's not that hard.
Did you miss me?
I'm trying to go over my notes.
That paper says prepositions.
I was a little distracted.
Dork, we're just having coffee.
No, something happened on the way to class.
You are having an unlucky day. I should not be doing this. You sound a little bitter. Don't want to talk about it?
I might have taken a few paintballs to the body.
What an eventful day. Was it worth it?
Looking at you, it is.
Looking at me? Not talk?
Oof. Got me. Talking to you, it all melts away.
Falling in love isn't that easy.
Did you just ask me here to make fun of me? Why are you being such an asshole?
It was nice seeing you.
I had a really positive impression of you. You used to be sweet and funny. Now I feel judged and dumb.
How do I keep the sun from going out?
Add hydrogen.
It's good to have a plan B.
Me? I'm very successful.
Your thoughts?
What do you think, Piper? What's on your mind? What's on your mind? What's on your mind, Piper? You know, like, relationships have always been a part of Fallout ever since, like, the beginning-ish. Like, you always had followers. And, like, one of the first weird things that happened to me in Fallout 2 was, like, I stumbled into a cabin and I talked to a brother and sister. And if you talk to the brother or sister, you can end up sleeping with one or both of them. Not one or both. With either one of them. And then their dad immediately catches you. You have a shotgun wedding, so for the rest of the game, unless they die, you have to go around with your dumb wife, give her a gun, tell her to stay away from the enemies. She'll carry stuff for you, and once in a while you can talk to her. It's real neat that way. But the relationship mechanics in Fallout 4 just like went way down the hill. It's not nearly as interesting as like, oh, a shotgun wedding and now I'm married. It's just, oh, I really like you. Like, you don't kiss or have interesting things, and they're just not interesting. Like, people complain when it's not in the game. Like, it wasn't in Fallout New Vegas, and it wasn't really in Fallout 3. Maybe I should do another thing on relationships in Fallout. Maybe, I don't. Go capitalism, America. Oh, I did the thing where I forgot to do the shoutouts. Give me a comment. Fallout doesn't have to take place in America. I see the light now. Or maybe you hadn't even heard of this argument, and now I have turned you against it because I'm so annoying that you actually believe the opposite of what I say. That's fun. Let me know if that's true, because I'll start tailoring my videos to assuming everyone will believe the opposite of what I say. Have you played Fallout? Do you know, did I do a good job of explaining what it was? If you have no idea what's going on, you clicked on this because I was able to pull some algorithm horseshit. I have a Patreon where you can get access to my writing. The clip and the trailer that played during this, well, the clip during the beginning was actually from my game, Romancing the Sun, which updated today with Chapter 2, and you can check that out. It is specifically about a romance and how you're supposed to have fun when you're dating, because it's a dating simulator. Have fun, guys! That's why I had that tangent there for my own product placement. I don't know if I have to put on Google that there's paid advertising, because I didn't pay myself, but you can check that out at Itch or Game Jolt or wherever stupid distributors let me distribute this game. It's a lot of fun, and there are cute girls and death in oblivion. I'm sorry if you want to date boys. I don't have any dating boys options, but anyone can date a girl. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Happy Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day weekend when I'm putting this out. Unless I did something bad. Cool. Ah, trip. Ah, fuck. Hey, is this cool? Is it cool if I rock you? Ooh. I hope that sounds neat. Oh, jeez.